Absolutely. Thanks so much, Miles. Thanks, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. For those of you who are not familiar, my name is Sebastien Borget. I'm the CEO and co-founder at the Sandbox, which is a decentralized gaming virtual world that's using blockchain technology to empower players and creators, allow them to monetize the content they create, 3D asset or game experience through the use of NFTs and Sand token. And today I'd love to share with you some of the new opportunities around creating an open NFT metaverse, specifically jobs opportunity, as well as like how you can bring on your communities, your project, and create more value for the users as you're enabling and participating into that metaverse. I hope you can all see my screen now. I'll go through a lot, hopefully fast enough so we have some time after for our Q&A. If you're not yet familiar with the concept of metaverse, I'm surprised because it's been mentioned quite a few times on the previous talks, but rapidly it's a concept that came from sci-fi literacy and movies, Ready Player One, Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, and that essentially described that us as human beings will be living many different experiences into digital parallel universes through a 3D representation of ourselves and avatar. The open metaverse that Sandbox is building is decentralized, is going to be massively built by users. We believe like 99% of it will come from user-generated content. We'll be featuring IPs and brands, which will be bridging between the physical world and the virtual world, essentially bringing on culture, bringing reference point for users who then, when they arrive with their 3D avatar into a virtual world, have various points of reference, characters, can move to those points, socialize with other users, and something unique into Sandbox can start creating their own stories, games, adventure, experiences, using content from the brand and publishing them as games that they can actually monetize into the virtual world. All sorts of experience, it's going to be key. So starting with gaming, but opening to virtual concert, virtual shows, fashion show, art gallery, museum, weddings, parties, and many more things. That's all what we want to do into the metaverse, have fun and engage with others, being able to not only own our identity or asset or currency, being self-sovereign, but also own, play with other users, socialize, meet, interact, and earn a revenue from the time we're going to spend either creating content, working, socializing, playing, etc. To do that, we need to build it on blockchain technology, essentially, as it's going to essentially provide the transparency and trust layer that is needed to establish the value system behind. And that's essentially how NFTs come into play. NFT are like a tokenized game asset or different sort of digital assets that can hold value. And now that we accept that they have scarcity, rarity, and utility, and hence hold value for the users, we can actually foresee a whole digital economy that's going to be built on those NFT and those different services that can be provided on top of them, opening the door to new jobs into the metaverse and the possibility to participate into the economy as a creator, as a player, an artist, potentially just as someone who stake token and own token into this circle and be involved into the governance of that virtual world. So at Sandbox, we are building that virtual world, this platform with a vision that players can own it, starting by owning their virtual land, their piece of the metaverse, starting by allowing players to make their own NFTs and engage into play to earn. And through the values they contribute as a creator or as a player, the time and engagement they have, they can be rewarded essentially in the form of NFTs and token that they can then sell on marketplaces or keep for them and turn into a revenue stream. Oops. So we've built different tools, starting with a content creation tool. Those tools are already available in beta on Sandbox. We have VoxEdit, our NFT maker, which is a tool for making 3D animated voxel creation. Why voxel? Because voxel is very accessible. It's versatile as well. Like can fit like the younger generation. Think of it like Legos for kids, but also very powerful, allows to create complex shapes and allow to have thousands of hours of work behind to make pieces that will be highly unique and valuable and hence make people proud to use and show. Also, we have a whole generation that's now used to create in voxel for more than 10 years, if you think like users of Minecraft, Roblox, and artists. We also have launched our marketplace in beta. It's a central piece for you creators to upload their creation as NFTs and start selling them, trading them, allowing other users to acquire them. And a game maker, also available right now in beta on Sandbox platform, which allows just anyone to make their own experience and games without a single line of code. Just drag and drop your asset and you can start creating all sorts of experience, assigning a behavior here as an enemy, a platform, and so on. And we have literally already more than 20,000 users using this product on a monthly basis, spending more than 2 hours a day preparing to create the amazing experience you'll see and access as a player. Being decentralized starts by having a decentralized team. That's our spirit. So we have now grown Sandbox to more than 100 people around the world. And as you can see, we have offices and teams on various locations. I think we counted more than 32 countries for our team across different locations. We still a strong presence in Argentina for R&D, in France, marketing, game design, and Asia as well, since the metaverse we are building is also going to be global. Global as US is our number 1 country, followed very closely by Korea, China, and Japan, bringing 2 sides of the world into one metaverse. Now I'd like to take a little step back, like bird eye view on like this ecosystem of the metaverse, because we are not talking about just one metaverse, one virtual world, one actor. Like it's a myriad of companies, myriad of tools and systems that are building all together something, that concept that we call the metaverse. But behind, as you can see, there's many actors in the centralized space, as we know and familiar with Facebook, Horizons, Roblox, Minecraft, Core, etc. And many actors as well acting into the decentralized space, including Sandbox, Decentraland, CryptoVoxel, Somnium Space, etc. And to build an open, interoperable metaverse, we need to have more than one. It cannot be just a winner takes all situation. It has to be plenitude of virtual worlds that are enabling their users to move their assets, their identity as an avatar from one to another and have utility of those assets they own into multiple virtual worlds. That's a meaning. That's what a real open, true open metaverse means. That metaverse, where it takes shape essentially in Sandbox, first of all, with lands. The concept of virtual land is very powerful and getting more and more understood globally. So all the decentralized virtual world have a map. In that map, they have different portals that players can access to, creators need to publish their experience. In Sandbox, more specifically, we have a virtual map composed of 166 or 164 lands in total. Each one is a unique NFT in ERC 721, has a certain coordinate location that can be owned by users and used to access monetization on the platform, either by renting it to the creator or to use it to publish your experiences on top of it. What's unique in Sandbox is like how we are reinforcing the notion of ownership by allowing the creator to put their own logo on the map, which makes that on the map, you'll see many logos which act as reference point for user and essentially works as well in support of this idea of neighborhood and communities. People want to own land next to the people they like, the communities they are fan of, and create larger neighborhoods where the neighborhood of interest, neighborhood where there's more diversity and so on. And we've seen that at play already in Sandbox. Some of the brands as well that are present of that metaverse, and that's something we've been really attached into our vision of building Sandbox Metaverse, is how do we onboard more and more users into the metaverse? And we do that by bringing on the fans from many popular IPs. Those IPs range from gaming with Atari, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Square Enix, entertainment with The Walking Dead, which we announced recently, bringing the walker zombies into the metaverse and opening the gate to, well, a lot of imagination and creativity behind on what does that mean and what people can do with that. But other brands, Care Bear, The Smurf, etc. Also bringing music artists and other talents like Blondish, Deadmau, Richie Otin, Avenue Sevenfold, comedian, humorists, etc. Sports brands, fashion brands, either they come from the a virtual world. They are new generation virtual fashion or existing brand from the physical world. And essentially something unique into Sandbox, allowing any existing community to take shape and have interoperability and additional utility for their token. We'll talk about it right after. So here I was mentioning walking down entering the metaverse. I think it's going to be really cool to see how users are going to leverage those NFTs, build their own stories, increase the lore of the IP from the comic book and use them into their land. Something also like how do we bring it and make it more open? So when we announce a new brand in Sandbox Metaverse, we always proceed in several phases, building it always in stages. First one is to have the brand have presence into the map and put his logo, allowing the community of fans and users to buy lands next to them, following to create experience that can be contextual through the neighborhood. Launching NFTs that relate to the brand, enabling, again, users to create their own stories, adventures, games, and so on, with the content from the brand and publish experience. That's something unique that they cannot do anywhere else. And finally, launching the official branded experience, whether it's a concert. Here we get some sample videos that highlight the kind of experience you will find in Sandbox, all of them being made with the existing creation tools like our game maker. So quick teaser. I find it's pretty cool. This slide that shows like the diversity of experience you can find, anything you can create. All right. And that concept of virtual land I was mentioning is becoming like really very well understood, like land, just like physical real estate, like virtual real estate, virtual land are opening a gate to a lot of possibilities and monetization behind. And hence we've been into mainstream media across the world, in the US, in China, in Korea, in Japan, explaining what's the potential behind it and why so many people are interesting to own a piece of land into those virtual world that will attract millions of users soon, and why it's important to make that move right now. We also big supporter of the creator economy. So we believe that the success of a platform like Sandbox will come from creating thousands of success stories for the creators, the artists, the people who contribute to the value to the ecosystem. And that's why we want to kickstart a whole economy behind through supporting with our foundation those creators. More than 150 artists are being supported by our foundation. They publish close to 10,000 content on the marketplace and being selling them. They actually sold for more than 1.3 million cents. That number is slightly outdated in the past 3 months, generating more than $1 million revenue, where they kept 95% of the rev share, the highest in the industry on all metaverses. We're supporting 50 different teams and game studios to be the first to publish experience that will open and get players in. Plus, additionally now supporting even more independent game studio, their P&L, and helping them hire more people. So growing an ecosystem of actors, the first game studio, marketing agencies, etc., who will build the content for that metaverse will have a strong first mover advantage, we believe. And we want to make that metaverse with 166, 164 lands, a place with unique experiences, each one of them, which could be concerts, club, hosting parties, DJ sets, museum galleries, theme parks, cabaret, casinos, streaming, talk show with comedians, seasonal events, fashion show, commerce, and so on. And to do that, we need to provide the systems that enable anyone who owns a land into this metaverse to create incentive for people to come in and to monetize their land. Those incentives, we think, can rely on 2 key systems. The first one is called NFT gating. It's essentially enabling access or restricting access to your land, your experience, only to certain NFT holders. But the gating doesn't need to be with a ticket that looks like a cardboard. It can be any ticket. Your avatar, your wearable, a sword as an equipment, or any NFT outside of Sandbox could be used to restrict access and hence create community of interest and community which have access to exclusive content. And why would people want to own an NFT and potentially pay for it on the marketplace is because of the reward or the experience or the value they get from those experiences into the metaverse. Those value comes from the landowner who will be running live ops into these places, and be offering different tiers of rewards through something we call the season reward pass, providing different tier of rewards for users who engage the most on the platform. It's very powerful. It's opening the gate for play to earn. And now, one thing that I believe is quite important, and I would like to spend some time on, is like how I mentioned, like there is a whole digital economy being built on top of NFTs and services. We are seeing it now every day on our social feed, in our community, people who say like the metaverse changed my life. I'm earning a revenue by just working on my computer, providing services for others, creating my NFTs, creating content. So we've categorized in 4 categories the different type of job that we believe are essential and will start to grow with thousands of people entering the metaverse. First of all, people who are going to provide the content found into those experiences. The metaverse cannot be empty, so we will need architects, game designers, fashion designers, people who are going to add the gameplay, people who are going to design the look and feel of your avatar, who define your unique identity for players. Players want to, the way you look as an avatar into the metaverse will define who you are, beside like what you own into your wallet, your holdings. And based on how you look, people will want to interact with you. They will have this first contact. Oh, you're wearing that t-shirt collectible from this first event, from this artist that at this private event 2 years ago. I was there as well. A connection is made. So it's creating communities, bonding communities through ownership of NFTs. And we need people to design those content, definitely. So all of jobs needs to happen online into metaverses. We're also going to see everything related to discovery of content, like people who are in charge of curating the experience, saving you time, because now time is value, time is money into the metaverse. If you think like I can spend 1 hour play and earn a revenue, how do I best spend my time when I have only 2 hours, 3 hours into the metaverse? You start to think slightly differently under this angle. So you need people who curate the experience, optimize your earning, give you coaching, provide you a different tour guide of like the culture, how this was made, who made this art piece here, how many copies of that NFT, what is the story of that NFT behind. People who animate those land and create activities so that whenever you enter into an experience, there will be something fun to do, not just depending on others to come at the same time. You don't want to have this ghost town effect, but it will require not only great, fun, engaging content made by with game maker, but also like a lot of human presence. We definitely see the metaverse will create jobs into transaction and commerce, both at the level of virtual real estate, connecting buyer and seller for land parcels, opening the job for virtual land real estate agents and landowners themselves renting land and finding tenants, for example, but also people in charge of like promoting and selling content directly from experience. As soon as you accept that there are virtual sneakers, fashion, and so on, you can definitely be just like into a traditional brick and mortar shop, have someone who will help you, guide you, make you recommendations. Community is essential. I cannot stress that enough. And how the people who will be organizing the different experience, engaging with you, welcoming you, finding mini games, creating treasure hunts, virtual fairs, all sorts of experience into those lands, they are playing an important role, and their time is valuable because they are creating more value for all the other users. And hence it's worth being paid, supported by the foundation, supported by the landowner, thinking of like definitely the different experiences you can live. And finally, play to earn. As a player, you want to optimize your time. If you play 1 hour to collect an NFT that's worth, let's say $100, it's great. But then if you're part of a guild, like guild gaming, that optimize your time, and then you can pool resource and earn potentially $150 an hour based on that, leveraging your skills, matching, etc. it's even better. And I see it will become the future. So I can spend hours to describe those use cases. What I mean is like, there are already a lot of those jobs happening. We are definitely seeing on a daily basis in our community people who say we've changed their life. They've been able to pay back some debt. They've been able to upgrade their lifestyle thanks to by building, creating content, selling content on marketplace, engaging into various contests, building with game maker and so on. And I believe it's just the beginning. And we should keep encouraging more and more people as we need to build that true vision of the metaverse for the next 5 to 10 years. And it will take time and a lot of human effort. Besides that, something that we find is going to be very powerful is like how we leverage the metaverse to enable any existing NFT collection to grow in utility and value. We can see a lot of talent, a lot of creativity launching almost on the daily basis now new avatar collection. They are cool. They are assembling community of interest, but still at the end of the day, they are just 2D images with limited utility. To solve that, what we propose is to those community to own land into Sandbox, build experiences, of course, but essentially enable those 2D collectible images becoming 3D playable characters, animated so they can jump, run, fight, talk, dance with them through interoperability bridge. Not trying to sell a second token, not selling anything else, but offering to the owner of the token an additional representation of it, which they can use to start doing more things, matching a visual representation of it into the metaverse. And as such, you can start playing and interacting with your existing NFT in a novel manner, which I think is very powerful to reinforce the interest of those community, to build together better, together a lot of ideas using the creation tools and give more life and potentially more value to those collections. And we are working on that right now already with the CryptoPunk, Maybe, the Borget, the Voxodeus, Goethe-Cat, Cyberkong, Zrun, and many other collections that are starting to take place into our metaverse and understand behind the potential to extend their presence and use interoperability. And that, to me, is the true meaning of like what's an open NFT metaverse, a place where users can make NFTs, use this NFT with a game maker, use that NFT in any other dApps that want to support them through the open standard or ERC 721 and even 55, or a place where you can actually play with your existing NFTs without any effort. And here is a quick overview of some samples of like how we are giving those 3D representation of existing NFTs. Again, there's no purchase involved. It's just additional utility for the existing NFT through interoperability, which is one of the true promise of using NFTs as well beyond the value and scarcity. And to continue our vision of being decentralized, we have published all our smart contracts on GitHub. We made them open source, so anyone can fork them, use them, and potentially build additional application and so on in that ecosystem to grow the use case and improve on top of it. So you can find it on our GitHub here. All the source code has been audited several times, and we look forward to see what you can make with it. We sponsor many hackathons as well on the topic, and it's been so far very inspireful for many entrepreneurs who leverage those. Little bit technical slides. We also offer we provide on the graph ways to query the data. So anyone can query any information about the map, about the asset, about the ownership behind, which I think is essential. And the last part of my presentation will be around leveraging SAM token, access token of the platform for acquiring the different assets, for earning a revenue as you play, and essentially also to engage with the governance of this virtual world. Something really unique in Sandbox is we want to provide governance via a DAO, but that DAO will give more weight to the user. So to the users who are engaging more and more with the virtual world. So if you own Sand, great, you get to certain weight into the vault. If you own Sand and land, meaning you also potentially a creator, you get more weight. If you own Sand, land, and avatar NFT, you're the most engaged type of user, spending time as a you, and then the higher your avatar level is, the more weight again. which means like the people who are truly engaged with the platform get more weight on key decisions, which include development roadmap, token pool allocation from our foundation, curation, how the grants supporting creators play to earn get allocated, and how we will be reserving how we'll be managing the reserve of land in Sandbox. And something unique as well is like the tokenomics of Sandbox are designed to support the creators' incentive, as 50% of any revenue stream going into the platform is actually distributed back immediately to the foundation to support creator funds, taking rewards, and the play-to-earn prize pools. Here you get also a little overview on like how we are featuring content and brands on our marketplace. We have regularly sales of artist-made, user-generated, pushing new artists to become talents. Like many of artists who joined our community for about a year ago now acquired a lot of reputation, and now definitely embrace NFTs and building into the metaverse. And the possibilities again are amazing. Like I've never thought that we could launch fashion design brand with voxel-based characters until our community proved us wrong and show us like their talent, their imagination, and the possibility behind. And when I saw that, I say, all right, let's open the gate here. Let's allow anyone to start creating customization for avatar in voxel. I'm sure they will find and solve that issue even better than we can. And they demonstrated it. They demonstrated it as well, the possibility of launching commerce through Sandbox Metaverse, and hence progressively opening us from being essentially gaming focused to being all sorts of experiences, entertainment, commerce, fashion, and more. Right, and I'm showing you some creation made. So every time we try to provide tools, we illustrate by example how to use those tools, and then we let the community use them, and always it's something magic happen, and we see how the community leverage those tools and make things like 1,000 times better than we do, and showcase it again on social media, etc. So that's it for today. That's our essentially the vision at Sandbox, how we are building the open metaverse, developing an ecosystem with jobs, with different actors and partners, and supporting the community behind.
Thanks so much for that, Sebastien. A really great overview of the player economy that you're building within Sandbox. And we do have a couple of questions here. I'll probably have time just for one, because all of our panelists are ready for that following subsequent discussion on more holistically looking at the future of gaming. But I'll switch to our cameras and just read that top question for the top two questions, maybe. The first one quickly. Will the Sandbox ever collaborate with other metaverse platforms such as Earth-2 and Decentraland? And then I guess kind of the bigger one would be like, is there going to be like a Netflix of metaverses where you can kind of move between like what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, like we'd love to. Like basically, we created VoxEdit, for example, our NFT maker. It used Vox as a standard format. Vox is an open format available across the industry, not limited to Sandbox only. And so, like, I think we've seen Crypto Voxel implement the Vox model already into their world. Really depends, like, as soon as it's implemented, you can think of those NFTs again, either being usable, made in Sandbox, usable anywhere else, or made anywhere else and usable in Sandbox. That's the ultimate goal.